Hello and welcome back to Cool and Chronic with me, Simone. Today's guest is the lovely Shan. She's a chronically ill advocate who shares her experience of living with ME, POTS, MCAS, PMDD, and BPD. She's got a lot going on. After becoming severely unwell in her mid-20s and spending over a year bedridden, Shan now uses her platform to raise awareness. So everybody, please welcome the lovely Shan. So if you just wouldn't mind giving us a bit of an intro and say where you're from and just your age, and then we'll get into the questions.
So, hi everyone, I'm Shan, I'm 30 and I'm from London.
Beautiful. You got such a lovely accent, so way more better than mine. So we'll get into let's basically go, it's not that far back because you are only 30, but let's go back 5 years ago to when you first started to feel unwell. And can you kind of just take us back to your symptoms? Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be very raw, so give everyone your information and let's get into it.
Yeah, so when I first got sick, it kind of just felt like I had the flu. Like I just woke up and I had really swollen glands, felt really feverish, had just like the worst flu you can imagine, kind of combined with a hangover, that kind of
Yeah.
feeling.
Yes.
Um, And I also had like quite a sore throat. So I assumed it was tonsillitis because it kind of mimicked a lot of those symptoms. And that's also like what my doctor thought as well. And what was quite alarming was how fatigued I was. So, like, just really basic things like, I don't know, going into a cupboard or walking, like, it just felt so much harder.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I would say like my symptoms got more and more intense as time went on. But that first like initial moment, it kind of just felt like a really, really bad flu.
Yes. For everybody who is listening, would you mind just actually describing fatigue and chronic fatigue for me, if you can, please?
Yeah, of course. It's not like normal tiredness. It almost feels like your body is in complete shutdown. So I always like kind of describe it as if, you know, when you're walking through a swimming pool and you're like
Yes.
pushing the water out and every single movement you do feels really hard. Like that's how it feels when I'm moving through life, essentially, when I'm walking, when I'm moving my arm, it feels like I'm just like wading through
Yes.
water. Um, and it's like it completely takes over you. Like you feel like you haven't slept in about 3 or 4 days. In fact, I actually think that's what they say. They say to understand chronic fatigue, it's like being awake for 3 days straight, but
Yes.
combined with a hangover, combined with feeling sick, combined with feeling like you've just ran a marathon and that you have to
The-
do it again that same day. All of that combined is how I feel fatigue feels.
And do you know what? It's so hard to, again, we are like chronically ill girlies and we're talking about invisible disabilities and chronic illness. I think it's so hard to explain because for myself as well, it is one of my largest symptoms. So as we both have PMDD, that's a really, look, you're so unlucky, babe. You've got literally the bingo card of everything. But I know that like people with POP struggle with fatigue. You know, the conditions you have, all of them are a symptom is the fatigue, but ME is like completely disabled, and I feel like people don't understand it. And I see a lot online, and we are raising so much awareness. And Shan's Instagram, if you want to look into her, do you want to plug it? Tell everyone your Instagram name, please.
It's at Blends of Balance.
Yes. And it's perfect because that is what you're doing. Like, but I just feel like with ME, it's really hard for people because they can't see it. And you've just described, the swimming pool analogy is brilliant because I used to say it's like walking through like treacle, like you just can't, and your muscles hurt. Like it actually hurts to be that tired, doesn't it? Like,
Oh,
yeah, and
yeah.
for you, I mean, we will get diving. I keep diverting because you're so interesting. Sorry, but when you first had the symptoms of your tonsillitis, say, and that's what your doctor thought, so fatigue was one of your biggest symptoms back then? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think one thing that I missed at the time, because I didn't understand it, was the post-exertional malaise. So I felt like when I hit, well, so just to make it clear for everyone,
Yes.
post-exertional malaise is the hallmark symptom of ME. And it's when you participate in an activity or exertion, it could be cognitive, physical, sensory, emotional. You then experience a worsening of symptoms after, and that could be in the moment, it could be maybe like a couple of hours after, it could be delayed, it could be like a few days later,
Yeah.
a week later. And that post exertional malaise, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't even really describe it to my doctor. It took me years to be able to describe it. But
Yes.
you completely shut down, and I would feel so feverish. And I think because I kept saying like the term feverish to my doctor, I think they thought, okay, it must be tonsillitis or some kind of like infection.
Illness.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think, and then you actually told me that they told you it was anxiety, didn't they? Which, me too, girl, must just be a thing. But I know we're laughing, but that's not like, did that confuse you in your symptoms at the time?
Yeah. So at the start, I very much knew there was something wrong physically with my body. And I think the doctor was receptive to that. So,
Yeah.
she put me on antibiotics. I think I went on about 5 courses of antibiotics in that summer, and obviously nothing was changing.
Yes.
And then she like put me forward for blood tests, all these other different tests, like an ENT test, a glandular fever test. And when everything came back, with like no alarms or everything was looking okay, I think that's when she was like, she doesn't know what to do and she can't really help me. And that's when the gaslighting started. And, she told me it was anxiety. And I was like, I've had anxiety since I was 15. Like, this is not anxiety. I know my body,
Yes.
this is not anxiety. But as time went on, and, I'm talking like 2 years down the line of trying to understand what was going on, it
Oh,
got to the point
wow.
where I actually started to believe her because she was adamant and she said, look, anxiety presents itself in your body physically. So what you're feeling is just a physical sensation of anxiety. And that was really, really harmful because when I started to doubt myself and when I started to believe her, when symptoms arose, sorry, I just said to myself, okay, she told me there's nothing wrong. This is anxiety, so I should just push through because there's actually nothing wrong with me. When you push through, you worsen your condition. So
Yes.
it actually caused a lot of harm. And there was a point where she also told me she wasn't going to like refer me on to a specialist until I had trialed anti-anxiety medication. And that anti-anxiety medication actually made me so much worse. So yeah, it was just the whole anxiety thing caused so much harm in the end.
And you know what? Like, so obviously I've got FND and I have tremors. So I went to the hospital. I was tremoring everywhere. Yes, it's anxiety, and I know. Listen, I know that it's an element of. I'm the same as you. I'm an anxious girly. I've been since a young girl, but the anxiety doesn't do this to you. This isn't ill. Like, you know your body, right? And that's one thing I've learned about the chronically ill community. We know our bodies, and it's to be our biggest advocate, which obviously you've done there. Did you have the support of your family and friends whilst going through this? Did they help you with getting appointments or go to an appointment with you, or were you fighting it alone?
I was pretty much fighting it alone. I'd say once I got my diagnosis, my family and friends were a godsend. Like they were so, so, so supportive. But
Yeah.
in the lead up to that, I think no one really understood why I was feeling the way I was feeling because I couldn't understand it myself. So, you're saying to someone, oh, I feel really unwell, I feel really feverish. But then at the same time, they're watching you go to work the next day. They're watching you go on that holiday, they're watching you dance in shows, and then coming home and crashing and saying you're really unwell. I don't think anyone around me really understood the severity of what I was going through.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, it was pretty much just like kind of dealing it with on my own and trying to
Yes.
find answers on my own. Yeah.
Of course, because I think again we're really good at hiding, aren't we? Even probably now to this day, we hide, and you probably yourself, we hide away to almost shelter other people, which I think sometimes can be wrong. I don't know if you agree with that, but obviously you got your diagnosis. But was it before that or after you had your really big crash where you were actually bedridden for a year, weren't you?
Yeah, so it was around that time. So I was sick for 3 years, and I was quite
Wow.
mild to moderate at that point. So I was still kind of pushing through, struggling to hold down a job, struggling to go to social events, that kind of stuff, not understanding what was going on. And then I finally got my diagnosis, and it was actually 2 weeks after that that I crashed. So, although I had a diagnosis, I actually didn't still really know much about the illness because I hadn't had a chance to research it or like look into it. And, the doctors don't tell you anything, they just say, here's your diagnosis, goodbye.
See ya.
So, yeah, then I crashed. Well, there was like a week before I crashed where I started to learn a bit more about it. I told my work, I started to make like reasonable adjustments, and then I crashed. And then I learned more and more and more over the course of the following months after that.
Because otherwise, that I mean, there isn't the support out there. And if you don't mind me touching upon work, were they good with you? Are you still can you work now, or what's sort of going on?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I had crashed quite quickly.
Okay.
So that first week, they were really helpful in terms of like reasonable adjustments. They actually gave me a room for me to be able to rest and lie down and have quiet time, like at any point I needed to. So,
Wow.
and like my team were like, look, if you're ever low on energy, just tell us that day and we'll try like not to talk to you and things like that. So they were helpful. Because I
Yes.
was only there for a week before I crashed, at that point I was too severe and I
Yeah.
had to stop working, and they did really try and keep me on. But the months roll into each other, and
Yeah.
I think it took about 8 months of me still being bedbound, and they were like, we've got to like let you go now.
Let go. Yeah. Yeah. And don't you think that's such like, I don't know if you agree with that, but it really hurts when you know, right, I can't work. I physically can't because like that similar what's happened to you is actually similar what happened to me. I really
Oh,
tried, and then I just thought, no, well, you can't. They need someone reliable, and I guess we're not reliable, are we, babe?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I felt like kind of felt two different emotions. I think if it had happened now, the capacity and baseline I'm at now, I would feel so differently. But at the time, I think I was so severe that I was really, really sad that I had to like say goodbye to that role because I had just landed my dream role that year. I was still new to the company. But then a part of me was like, oh my gosh, I have permission to rest now. I
Yes,
actually have permission to
yes,
just focus on me and
you.
like my health. And like that actually made such a difference as well to not have that
I agree.
hanging over my head.
Yes, I agree because I think me and Shan were just saying we're both Virgos, so which we can relate. But I don't know if you're such a lovely person. You probably like me, a bit of a people pleaser and letting people down. Like that was emotionally upsetting me more. So I
Yeah.
kind of had a thing as you, like almost like we're free to fight this. Because I mean, look, 3 years of you fighting, whether it's not severe or not, that in itself, fighting something quietly, that must have been so hard, like on your mental health. Did it take a toll on your mental health?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going on with you. And I think I was convinced that I was going to die soon because I was like, there's something wrong in my body. No one can figure it out. I probably have a really rare condition and I'm probably gonna like
Gonna
wake up
die.
in a year or two and be dead because
Yes.
everyone missed what was going on. Like I generally just thought, yeah,
But
it
do
was,
you know what? They did miss what's going on with you. So of course you, and the thing that if someone's listening who has never experienced severe fatigue, which we will get into your symptoms now, it is completely disabling, and there is a reason it's a disability. And people do actually like they pass away from ME because they physically can't eat. Like I don't think people really know the severity of it, and it's probably going to be really raw for you, but if we could get into, so you've just had your diagnosis, which I mean, amazing, but also your body's probably thinking, oh my gosh, this is happening to me. So probably a mix of emotions, and then you crash. But if you can take me back to like the day that you crashed and you knew something really wasn't right, you're having a flare, and what happened from there?
yeah. So I was actually in the office that day and I just remember like when my colleagues were talking to me, I just could feel the life draining out of my body and it was so hard to work that day. And I remember thinking like I really need to get a glass of water. If I get a glass of water, I think I'm gonna just collapse. And anyways, I pushed myself to do it and my legs were like jelly. It was just it felt like every single cell in my body was kind of shutting down. And obviously, I had like all the other symptoms of ME, like the sore throat, the swollen glands, the feverish symptoms, the symptoms that I've normalized, which
Yeah,
should not be
not.
normalized. But you know, you have that severely unwell poison feeling
Yes.
24/7. And by the grace of God, I made it home. And I
Oh my
remember
god.
like like leaving the train station. My dad picked me up from the train station because I couldn't, there was just no way I was going to be able to walk from the train station to my house. And I just remember thinking, just like, need to get to the car, need to get to the car. And it was so hard. And I thought at any point I'm going to collapse and just, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Made it home, crawled into bed, and that was it. Like, I was never the same. Those first few days of my crash, I wasn't as bad.
Yeah,
I was in like the crash kind of state, but I still kind of thought, oh, in a few days I'll be back to how I was. And then I started to decline slowly and slowly. And by the second week, it was like the most terrifying, oh, I
experience.
might cry.
That's like it's making me feel like, yeah, sorry, it's
Yeah,
making me feel very emotional too.
it
Sorry.
was the most terrifying experience. Like I wouldn't want anyone to experience that. It's kind of indescribable. You feel like you're almost like a living corpse and that you've like been buried alive. Like you cannot move. You're in so much pain, so much discomfort, and you can't tolerate anything. Like you can't move an arm, you can't handle any light. Like I just remember being in this dark room, not being able to move, not being able to handle even like my mum coming into the room. Like I just felt like I was paralyzed. And it's the weirdest feeling because you're fully conscious.
Yeah.
You've got all the emotions, your brain is like racing, but you're like stuck
And you
and
can move.
you don't know like how long you're going to be like that for. And that's like a really, really terrifying thought. Um, yeah, it's horrific. Like I genuinely can't even describe it because it's so awful. And to also know that that experience that I had, like I'm very lucky that the worst of it was for a few weeks and
Yeah.
then the rest of it was for a few months. But there are people with ME are much more severe than what that experience for me was. And to know that, like, that breaks my heart because I don't, it was like suffering that you can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, even just you saying it and talking about it sounds like haunting, like as in, like it's making, because I have bouts. Mine is no, it's a part of my symptoms. I fatigue, not I obviously don't have ME, but it's actually scary because when you just said you know you need to get up and get a glass of water, but you're too tired, and the thought of, I think you've just described it really well, but the sound, it's like harrowing, really. Like you just said, being a corpse, but you've still got the emotions, you've still got everything, like reliving that. So thank you. It must be really raw. Sorry that I teared up then. But it must be absolutely terrifying. But one thing I would say is what you do and what you share online, you've educated me so much, because I actually started following you from like an ME post it was. And I remember you were in your bed, and I think you were reading, and you were explaining that you can't read very much. You can't watch TV. You can't tolerate the lights. And I just thought that's, and the sounds as well. Am I right as well? Like sometimes sounds and stuff. So like for me, it just brought so much more awareness to it. Because I don't think people, again, really realise, as well as your ME going on, you've obviously got your PMDD, which we've spoke about, and trigger warning, suicidal thoughts and things like that. How was the PMDD and the BPD at this time, or was your body didn't have time to focus? Was it? Do you know what I mean? How did
Yeah.
that?
I think at the start of the crash, it all blended into one anyway, because I was dealing with so much grief that I
Yeah,
was in a constant state of depression.
yeah,
And then as time went on and my capacity increased, that's when it started to separate a little bit more. And I
okay,
think it's really, really hard. Like anyone that has PMDD, knows how hard the suicidal ideation can be when you're in that phase in your cycle.
yeah,
Then you've got the BPD on top of it, which intensifies everything. Like your emotions are so heightened and your lows are really, really low. Now, it
yeah,
took me 10 years to be able to like learn the strategies to cope with those two conditions and
yeah,
to, put things in place, systems in place to help me manage those moods and those
yeah,
lows. But then when I crashed into, severe ME and you're bedridden, you can't move, you're in a dark room, you're isolated, you're in so much pain, you're having to grieve your job, your relationships, your hobbies, like everything. You're already experiencing depression from the environment that you're in.
yes,
And now it's like, and also with ME, when you're experiencing post-exertional malaise, it has, an impact on your brain that can make you more emotional, can make you feel lower as well. So you're also dealing with that, like everything's heightened. But now, like the tools that I had learned to cope with BPD and PMDD weren't applicable because I can't just call a friend. I can't just go for a walk. I can't, get up and get a hot water bottle. I can't do some self-care. Those things are inaccessible.
yes.
And the bare minimum, having light in your room, having your curtains open, you can't even do.
No,
So, yeah, sorry, I can't actually remember what the question was.
you've answered it perfectly,
There's
because
no
that's
way to
exactly.
really cope with it.
No, I was just about to say, because you are so right, and I think there's something that also I've had like talking therapy and a lot of help and chronic illness. So I did a chronic ill through the NHS like support group, and I was the only person that had mobility issues. So they kept saying, if you're having a bad day, get up and go for a walk, or if you're having a bad day, and I'll just find it so hard, because obviously not necessarily because of the fatigue. I mean, because of the mobility, the fatigue as well, and pain. And I think people think like you're just being lazy, or you just don't want to get up and do it, but you physically can't. So for me, I used to love going to the gym. I can't do that now. So again, like you're saying, the PMDD, the mental side of it, it's really hard, and we are alone. We're not, because we've got this community, and you've built an amazing community online. But no one, we are on our own in our own houses, and we have carers and things. I know you had carers for a whole year, am I right? Or people
Yeah.
coming in to care for you for a year at the young age of like what, 20? Are you 27 then, or 28?
So that was last year, so I was 29. So I still have care now, but not to like last year
Yeah,
I needed full-time care.
Yeah.
Now it's like a couple times a week.
Yes,
Mm.
that's good.
But yeah, and I think another thing is when I was at my most severe, and trigger warning for anyone
Yeah.
listening, but I remember like it was because you're like a corpse, right? And you're in so much pain and discomfort, and it's like a suffering that I genuinely cannot describe. I remember after a few weeks, I was able to actually tolerate being on my phone a little bit each day, not much, but I could tolerate it. I could like do a bit of research. And I remember like one of the first things that I looked into was assisted euthanasia for medical reasons. And I think that this is something that a lot of very severe patients might relate to. That is often like not discussed enough because when you're in that state of suffering, I needed to know before because I didn't know. I thought, okay, now I can look at my phone. I don't know if next week I'm going to become non-verbal again, if I'm going to have the ability to look at my phone again. But I needed to know that there was a way out of what I was experiencing, that if worse comes to worse, I know how to like end the
This
suffering.
suffering. Yeah.
And that's like no one should have to feel that way because of like, their
Okay.
illness. Like it's so
It's
it's so
heartbreaking actually, like to say that out loud. For chronic illness, or say for me, I know Emmy is so underinvested that there's been some new things, I don't know, in the news that they are doing a bit more investigating, if I'm correct with Emmy, I'm not sure. But same as me, like, trust us to get conditions that no one really knows anything
yeah.
about.
And I think like when you lose control of your body, it's like it's you can't control that. And
No.
that knowing like, okay, let me research this, let me make sure I know like I'm covered if I do decline again, if I do get worse and I'm in that state for a really extensive period, like it kind of gives you that control back that
Yes.
yeah, it's just
And again, I don't know. Maybe that is because of our PMDD as well. I don't know if you never know what we got things going on. So much going on, haven't we?
a lot.
It's just a lot. And can we talk about when you started actually bringing it to social media? Because I think that's a really important part of your journey because you advocate and share so much, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I got diagnosed, the doctors just kind of left me to it. And they actually didn't give me any advice. Like, they were just like, just keep living life normally, which was the incorrect thing to do because that's why I crashed. Um, and I just remember, like, when I first kind of stumbled across like chronic illness content creators on TikTok and Instagram, and I felt such relief. Like I felt like, oh my gosh, this all makes sense. Like you get me. I felt so validated, so seen, and I learned so much about my condition. I don't think I would even be in a position to have this call with you and be at this capacity if it wasn't for all the things that I had learned from other content creators. Um,
Right.
they gave me so much from like hygiene tips to how to manage a flare to what to do when you're sad, how to deal with the isolation, like everything that has helped me on this journey, I put down to the content creators that, created content on this.
Yeah.
So that was a lifeline for me. And I think it gave me hope. Not only
Yes.
like there's like two different types of hope, right? There's the hope from people who are getting better, but then there's also the hope from people who are just keeping it real and they're just like, yeah, you know what, like what you've gone through is hard, what I'm going through is hard, but we're in this together. Like you're not alone. And
Yes.
like within the community, it's almost like we hold each other, like the grief that you're experiencing is shared amongst everyone in the community. And so it was really important for me that actually, if I could like help one person feel less alone, or if I could help one person spot the early signs and not, get to the severity that I got to, um, That would be like amazing.
And I'm sure you have done that, and I'm sure it's been more than one person. Because I think actually you did. I think you've shared, like, you were on about the hygiene tips and stuff. I think you've shared things about that. It's true though. Like, I didn't think, like, have like, do you have like a little crash, like a little crash by the side of my bed, and it's got all my bits in it if I need it. And do you know what? Those things, you're right. Like, you here now today, and you're sharing your journey. And believe me, you've helped me. And I've only followed you for like 2 months. So I know, please follow Shan, because it's enlightening. And do you feel like it gives you a purpose?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like when I first started sharing content, it was so hard to do because I was more severe. This wasn't when I was at my most severe, but I was like more severe than I am now.
Yeah.
Now, like 3 months ago, I would not be able to sit upright and,
Oh
film this
my
with you.
gosh.
But at the start, like, it was so difficult to do. And I think also that's like a misconception that I want to kind of bring to
Talk
light,
about.
is that people think they see content and they think you're okay, or like you're not that sick, but they don't see how hard it is to do. Like, I remember I would have to put my makeup out the night before, my brush out. My mum would have to like change my clothes for me because I couldn't do it myself. She would have to like put my tripod out, then I'd rest. Then like getting to the tripod, I would like film a little bit for like 10 seconds, lay down, put my eye mask on because I'd be so out of breath, back to film, da 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 da, lay down
Oh
again.
my
Like, what
gosh.
would usually take 5, 10 minutes was taking me days. And, you know,
Wow.
you edit it all down. So what people see is a very polished, aesthetically pleasing video where you're
Yeah.
upright and you're
Yeah.
talking, but they don't see how hard it is for you to do that and all the steps it took to be able to film that one video and the crash that follows after. And I was crashing. I wouldn't advise
Well, yeah.
to do this.
No, like,
Felt so important to do. Like, it gave me such
yeah.
a purpose that I was like, you know what? If this is the one thing that I do each month, like, so be it.
Yeah, I am doing it, and do you know what? That's so mad, because I don't know if after this, I don't know if you'll agree. Like, I'll be tired.
Mhm.
I will have a sleep myself and things, but people won't see that. They'll see us on like you've just said, on this video. We'll edit out, make it all polished. They won't see my ticks. They won't see you probably thinking, oh, I'm really tired. I need some water, or having a minute, or the breath. Like, you can't see our illness, and
Yeah.
that's what's so hard. Like you just said. I mean, to be imagine, like, if anyone's listening, if you could just take a step into Shan's shoes and just imagine, like, the horrific, like, it must have just been horrific. And like, kudos to you now, like, you're really feeling better. But I don't know if you ever feel like this, not bringing the tone down, but sometimes you never know how long this good period is going to last, do it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, even, doing this with you now, I thought last week, I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Like, I don't even know if I can, like, physically do something like this, because I absolutely wouldn't have been able to, like, maybe 2 months ago. And, I'm very lucky that this is a good week for me. Like, I am probably like the best I've been in a really, really long time. But also, I think people, like, especially if anyone's watching the video version of this, like, we look completely fine, right? We look
Yes.
normal.
Shan looks beautiful. She's got all her makeup on. She looks stunning.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
But
You
what
do.
people don't know is right now, I can feel like life draining out of me. I feel really dizzy. I
Yeah.
can feel my glands becoming more swollen. I feel like a poisony feeling in my body. I've got a headache.
Achy.
I feel
Yeah, achy.
feverish,
Yeah.
tired. But it's not that those symptoms get easier or that they're less intense. It's just we get better at masking it.
Yes.
So
Well said, Shan.
yeah, we just get better
That.
at masking it. And
Yeah.
it's really hard for people to understand what we're actually going through because we are masking.
Yeah, the whole time. And I know we are going over the 30 minutes, sorry, but I just
No,
wanted to
I'm
say,
actually fine. I'm
oh,
sorry
okay,
right
good,
now.
good. But you have mentioned your mom a few times. I just want to say, who's your biggest support network through this journey? Has it been your mom and family?
Yeah, definitely my family and friends.
Yeah.
My mum kind of stepped into a full-time carer role, even though she like is working herself and like absolutely could not have coped without her. But also, I'm so lucky that I have such amazing friends because I do feel like this isn't common in like when I speak to other people in the chronic illness community. I haven't come across this. So I want like if anyone is listening and has a friend that is, chronically ill, honestly, like the ways my friends have helped me, like I just want them to be able to take something from this because they were angels. Like they showed up in ways that was actually a lifeline to me and helped me cope and like got me through the darkest times.
Oh,
Whether that was like practical help, just showing up and like running errands and dropping food, not even having to like talk to me or, spend
nothing
time
like
with
that.
me. It was just knowing like, you know what, if she just needs someone to like clean up here, like sneak in, clean up and I'll leave quietly. It was sending
Oh,
gifts. It was like check-in messages. It was also knowing that I had the space to like they really respected my space for just not being able to respond to messages, not being able to talk for months on end. But knowing that like they were still there, no matter
yeah.
how long it took me to come out of something, whether it took me 4 months to get back to a message, like that person was still there.
And never took it personally.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think something that really surprised me was there was a lot of people who I wasn't really in contact with. Like maybe there might be someone who I haven't spoken to in like 5 years, for example,
Yeah.
and I don't really have much of a friendship with. They were showing up for me. Like people who I'd come across in my life who I hadn't spoken to in years were like messaging me support, coming to visit, asking if I needed things dropped. And that was really helpful. So, like, if anyone's listening to this and you know someone that's going through this, like, it is really, really hard. And your support, whether you're close to that person, whether you're not close to that person, like, it means so much to them. And it can really, really make such a difference to their experience and also their recovery and like their own healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Because I hear it like a lot with like other people that I've had like a few people on recently that fallen out with friends or friends just haven't shown up or they go through friendship strain and like me and you will say I know I'm not a reliable person and I can't be and I can't give the energy that I used to give, but I love all my friends with my heart. Whether I see you, it's never a reflection on, it's never personal to that person. It's if I'm okay. And I just, like you just said, if anyone's listening, even that text that, like you just, Shan just said, she might not reply to 4 months or whatever, but it means the world and it's not personal. It is the illness takes over and you can get into a really dark place where you just don't want to speak to anyone or you can't physically get on your phone. So keep reaching out, keep sending little reminders, happy things. I know it's made me a better friend. I know that sounds weird in the sense of I know I'm physically not there with people, but I virtually like try and show up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Sort of, yeah. And I think there's other ways of friendships working rather than it just being you have to see, you have to see the person physically because we're not well enough, are we? Really, like to do that?
has to. Yeah,
No.
and not even just physically, sometimes emotionally, because it's very emotionally draining having to like cope with, chronic pain 24/7, having to like plan, can I eat this food? Will I crash after? And how long will I need to rest because I've had a muffin? Like, you're
Yes.
constantly doing calculations, and that doesn't leave much room or any capacity for much else.
So
Trying to
so
survive.
true. Yeah, and you know what? Like, it makes your world a lot smaller, doesn't it? Not being chronically ill, but we do have a brilliant community, and your community is just so lovely. And if you do want to catch up with Shan, follow her on social media. But I'm going to close off with a question because I bet you're ready for a nap. Of that, say, if there's anything you wish more, no, that doesn't make sense. Is there anything that you wish that healthcare professionals did more to help you with your condition?
Yeah, it's, I think with healthcare professionals, they want to like give you the answer. And when they don't have the answers, I think from my experience and like a lot, and like speaking to other people, their experiences, that's when they kind of resort to the gaslighting. But I
Yes.
feel like I just wish like healthcare professionals know like it's okay to not have the answers to these illnesses sometimes. Like I would have much more appreciated if my doctor said to me, you know what, I don't know much about this illness. I don't know how to like help you, but I will try my hardest to find some answers. Not can't guarantee if I can, but no matter what, like I believe you and your experience is real. And that
Yes.
would have made such a difference rather than, I'm like, I can't go into it, but it's the disputes I had with my GP was so severe that I ended up having to they ended up just discharging me from the surgery and stuff, like, because they outright told me they didn't believe that I was bedbound.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I think it's okay to say that you don't understand this illness, but
Yeah.
you believe me.
Because
Like, we need more of that.
yeah,
Um,
I agree. I totally agree. And also more research to go into these conditions, especially because I know we haven't really touched upon, but POTS and your MCAS, they're also, MCAS is so hard to diagnose and it's so hard to get treatment and help. But obviously, again, we'll share. Maybe we need to do another podcast to talk about those, but specifically the ME and stuff. Like, it's just so under research. And like you just said, if someone was honest, that would be great. Like, just be open and honest about it. And what I'll finish with one more because I just want to find out this out. What's your piece of advice for someone who is newly diagnosed with a chronic illness, or specifically ME? We can say specifically ME if you want.
I'd say I think when I first got diagnosed, I had so many intense emotions because you've got the shock, you've got relief from being diagnosed, you've also got a bit of hopelessness when you find out that, there's not much support. Um, but I would say, like, what you're feeling right now is going to be heightened and it's going to be really, really scary. And what you're feeling, the intensity of it will change. Like, I always say this analogy, like every storm, every cloud runs out of rain, and you will find a way. Because, like, right now, I think it's quite bleak when you first get that diagnosis, but you
Yeah.
will find a way to find joy again in your life. And whether your life now looks different or, it's different to how you planned it to be, like, it's okay, like, you're going to be okay and you're going to find ways to adapt. Um, and I will also say, don't stop advocating for yourself. Like, I learnt the hard way, and I wish someone told me this. But if
Yeah.
you push for help, like push for support, don't let the doctors dismiss you. Just keep advocating for yourself, and trust that you know your body better than anyone else.
Yes. I love that. That's such a beautiful, and that's true. We do know our bodies better than anyone else. And if you can see as well, Shan's got loads of lovely books, and we were just talking about like we have little like we were laughing. What we were saying, I love a book too, even though we can't read for long and things like you said, and
Yeah.
I can't really, but that you will find joy in those things. Like it's a enjoyment in the little things. Like I love a little coffee sat looking outside my little grass. Like you will find that joy again. And I think, Shan, you've just been so beautiful to listen to with your little analogies and so informative. Like I didn't know the lot of the things you spoke about. So thank you so much for being on this lovely podcast. I'm Simone, that's Shan, SNS, and thank you for listening to Cool and Chronic. We'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.